The Assessing Suitability paper that was March 2011 really details in very straightforward terms what the regulator is looking for in terms of when we're measuring the client's suitability. Certain key phrases came out of there. The use of volatility as a proxy for risk is certainly not seen as an advantageous position from the regulator, and generally advisors will start a process we see in the marketplace from a risk profiling tool perspective. And risk profiling tools are fine to a degree and are a good starting point, but I think the regulator sees them very much as a starting point for a conversation and not something that generates the end result. Certainly within this, it also includes, and what we're looking at most carefully, is the best interest rule. And just to go on a slight tangent with the best interest rule, because I think this is important in terms of delivering advice, the regulator is very keen to ensure that the advice process now is very much driven by the advisor making a recommendation. So if you're recommending a centralised investment proposition portfolio, and you're certainly recommending asset allocations, etc., then it is that recommendation is being made, and not the fact that the client is selecting and self-selecting and then the advisor just facilitating that. So how does the regulator put that together? The way the rules work is that this is in the advisor's responsibility to ensure that the advice is suitable for the client. You have to assess what the client is willing and able to take, and then have an investment selection which marries up with that. If you are then only giving information to the client and then letting them make a decision around that, you may not be ensuring suitability, because effectively, albeit on an informed basis, you are delegating the suitability test to the client. And often we'll see in suitability reports aspects of the advisor. I suppose a good example is when we're looking in a space where the client is actually making a choice, you see, between certain options. So the advisor will have provided the client option A, option B, option C. The suitability report will read along the lines of, we talked about the three options and you have selected option B. Now, often that's a nice way of actually engaging with the client and demonstrating a combination approach. But from a pure regulatory perspective, when the regulator is looking at that suitability report, it can give them the impression that actually the client has made that opt-in decision and the advisor has facilitated it. So a quick tip is always to ensure that we use the word or the words "I have recommended," and that always then covers it off, and it's clear that actually there's been a recommendation made.